crash in the last few days, and who would know more about the plane crash than our aviation expert, Richard Kaplan. Richard, tell us all about it.
Thank you. Good evening, Long Island. The skies are cleared. You've just been cleared for takeoff. Let's fly. On Wednesday, October 28, 2015, a military spy blimp used by NORAD broke free from its tether in Maryland. The blimp was being used to track missile activity in the event of a war. The blimp was shadowed by not one but two F-16s from the New Jersey Air National Guard wing based out of Atlantic City International Airport. Now, they shadowed this aircraft for 125 miles, but during this shadowing, the tether itself, which is the size of a power cable that goes underwater. Now, if you've ever seen these underwater power cables, these things are huge. Literally wiped out everything in its path, including power lines, knocking power out to homes throughout central Pennsylvania. Now, the blimp is called an aerostat. It's about the size of a football field. It is floated up on a tether to a high altitude, usually around maybe 25 to 30,000 feet. Now, once it's at its stationary altitude, the radar inside the blimp is activated, and like the radar in a commercial jet, it tracks everything around it. Now, it's mainly designed to detect potential threats. I've actually seen this blimp utilized in Key West when I went on vacation years ago. They use it there to track the movement of illegal aliens from Cuba. The island of Cuba is 90 miles off the coast of Key West. The system itself is known as J-Lens, and it detects everything from low-flying threats like cruise missiles, battlefield ballistic missiles, and aircraft or drones close to the ground. Now, in a 2012 report from the Pentagon's Operational Test and Evaluation Office, they faulted the program due to its low system reliability. It's had a lot of technical glitches, but nothing to the level as high profile as this. This basically is the ultimate coup de grace for the program. Now, the program is valued at around $2.7 billion with a B, billion dollars, and many consider it to be a joke. The tether, which I pointed out earlier, is about the width of a standard underground cable, is the only means for which this aircraft can operate. It is linked by tether. It does not have a propulsion system. So it basically drifted through winds for about 125 miles. Washington, however, likes it, though, because it's cheaper than having to utilize manned aircraft such as the SR-71 Blackbird or the famous U-2 spy plane of the early 60s. Many feel the system does what it needs to do despite its failure to detect a potential flying object, similar to what happened recently when a gyro aircraft was not detected. But what a lot of people don't know about that incident is they were not operating that day. We'll never know why they weren't operating that day, but because of that, this plane landed right on the front lawn of the Capitol. Quite an embarrassment for the Pentagon. Moving along, our second story is pretty shocking. This was a fire at Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport on Friday, October 30th, involving a Boeing 767-200 operated by Dynamic Air International. This aircraft caught fire while taxiing at Fort Lauderdale International Airport. It was just leaving for a flight to Venezuela. The jet, which had 101 passengers on board, was operating under the call sign Dynamic International Airways Flight 405 when there were reports that fuel was leaking from the plane before it actually caught fire. This is interesting, because in aviation, you got to wonder, how do you not notice fuel leaking from your own airplane? The cockpit sits above the nose gear. Yes, you can look out at your wing, but you can't really see the tank, because what a lot of people don't realize is the fuel tank is inside the wing. So this tells me there may have been a puncture in one of the lines. Moving right along, the fire occurred at approximately 12:30 p.m. on the airport's north runway. People reported seeing tons of smoke, and people evacuated via emergency slides. This is very important. The evacuation took a total of 6 minutes to fully accomplish. The airport was closed as emergency officials responded. It reportedly took them 3 hours just to get this runway clear enough so they can have it half operational. As you know, the Miami area is one of the busiest airspaces in the Northeast next to ours. So this affected not just air traffic at Fort Lauderdale, it affected air traffic across the entire Floridian region of the South. From Miami to Tampa, all the airports were affected by this. Now, 22 to 24 people were taken to area hospitals for serious injuries ranging from bruises to burns. A statement from an airline official said that the crew shut down the engine and evacuated the aircraft after learning of an engine problem. The aircraft was built in 1986. Now, this is, in my personal opinion, what really angers me. This is a 30-year-old jet. Somebody had to have done some serious maintenance, or at least had to have checked the airplane before it even left the gate. To not detect a fuel leak is not only inexcusable, but I'm sure there will be a severe investigation both by the FAA and the TSB for this very matter. Now, later we learned that approximately 14 to 15 passengers were taken to local hospitals for various injuries. So the numbers started to vary as the day went on.
No fatalities at all, though.
But no fatalities, thank the Lord. It was taken care of by airport officials relatively quick. The Floridians are very good. One of the things that I consider to be a blessing about this is, if you're familiar at all with the Miami area, Miami in Florida is a very big area because you have an Air Force base, you have Special Forces, you have Coast Guard. They had all the resources they need if this thing went ballistic. Thankfully it didn't. Knock on wood, everyone survived. And hopefully we learn a valuable lesson from this. That being said, our runway has now just been cleared. I've been informed we're cleared for takeoff.
All right,
great evening.
Great job, Richard. Want to get to